Oh, sometimes the truth is painful.
You can't handle the truth!
Welcome to Todd's Truth, for my first episode of Todd Wrestles with the Truth, an AEW Week in Review. The main show, AEW Dynamite, which takes place on Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock on TNT. The first match of this night was Kenny Omega versus Matt Sydal, which had Omega complaining that how dare they have the champion, the AEW champion, starting the show, being the first to wrestle. I guess that's like an insult, I guess, for the champion, because the champions are always supposed to be at the end of the night, I'm guessing, from what I've seen of everything. But that had Kenny Omega complaining, and that, which was really funny, since Kenny Omega's current character is bad shit crazy. And he's going off the deep end faster than the Titanic sank, which is funny to watch because Kenny Omega is hilarious. But Matt Sydal, longtime veteran as well, and he's joined AEW with his brother. So they formed their tag team now, and they've come to AEW, which is awesome because always have room for more good tag teams. This was a great match. Matt Sydal showed just how good of a wrestler he really is. I mean, it was good. This was a great match. I mean, for the starting match, this should have been the main event, because that's how good this match was. If Sydal could beat Omega, he would get a championship shot. Because he just showed off, and yeah, so it was that was all everything. There were several times I thought Matt was going to get the pin, because they were like, I mean, he was like an inch away from a 3 count, and then Omega would kick out. So they had it going back and forth pretty well. Finally, after several missed V triggers, because Sydal, had it scouted. So every time Omega went for the V trigger, Sydal either reversed it into something else, or he just got out of the way completely. And he even Kenny Omega even tried to go for his one-winged angel and got it reversed into a near fall roll up out of the one-winged angel, which was an impressive move. But finally, Kenny Omega got a V trigger, which stunned Sydal, and then he got the one-winged angel for the pin. The next match was Hangman Page versus Cesar Bononi, who just got a win on Dark last night, or the night before. And Hangman Page he's not a small guy, so it's like, but Cesar Bononi is big. This is a big dude. He tried to do a slingshot move to the outside on Cesar, but Cesar caught him in midair. Jumping over the top rope, he caught him on the outside and slammed him into the ring apron, which, ouch, because that's the hardest part of the ring as well. So he slammed his back into the ring apron. But it was a good match. I mean, Hangman, is a good wrestler. But his whole storyline's been pretty good. I mean, for going through the whole road to redemption thing, trying to become champion, that whole thing. It's been pretty good. But Hangman won with he hit the buckshot lariat on Cesar for the win. And then next was a promo for Lance Archer, who's the Murder Hawk, who, if you don't know who he is, he came over he was wrestling in New Japan. Contract ran out there, and he came over to AEW. So it's good to have him here, because he's a great wrestler, and he's a powerhouse too. He's just good. I mean, I've watched him multiple matches of his in Japan, and he's good. But he was just mostly whining in this promo. I'm not say whining, but complaining, but I'll say whining, about why he isn't in the spotlight and Sting is. So he wants to beat up Sting, which will be interesting, because Sting is like, what, in his 50s at least, I think. Maybe, yeah, I think he's in his 50s. So we'll see where that goes. He just wants the shot at he wants the TNT title. So that's, and then this was followed up by an interview with Britt Baker. She's turned into a good talker since becoming a villain, but she still has some really bad wrestling matches. I mean, other than this, lights out one that happened where it was all hardcore, didn't require a lot of wrestling. It was, mostly hardcore stuff, ladders, thumbtacks, good Lord, those kind of things. But I still think she's not a good wrestler because I've seen almost every match of hers I've seen, she's had multiple botches in it. So until she gets better at, doing moves and keep it going consistently without botching something, I'm not really a fan. But like I said, she's turned in a pretty good talker. I mean, since becoming a villain, and she laid out, she made fun of a whole bunch of people, saying how she became a hardcore legend in one night, where it took Mick Foley 20 years or something, and things like that. But seriously, less time talking and more time learning to be a better wrestler. So yeah. But yeah, moving on from that, because that's all I got to say about that. Then followed a good promo with Christian, where he was talking with a couple of rookies. 3 rookies are getting ready to do a tag team. And Frankie Kazarian of the SCU walked up and said, "What? You can't say hi to an old friend?" And so Christian's wearing a shirt that says "Outwork Everybody." And so Kazarian looked at the shirt and looked at him and goes, "So when's your work actually start?" And so they made, I guess, from the way they were talking, they made a match for next week on Dynamite. So that'll be awesome because they're longtime friends and they've wrestled against each other for a long time too. In Impact, I think it was, and in some other independent circuit ones. But so that should be good. That should be a good match next week on Dynamite. Then next was FTR and Shawn Spears, part of the new group Pinnacle, versus the Varsity Blondes and Dante Martin, because again, Dante's brother is still out hurt. But yeah, this was a nasty match. I mean, FTR and Shawn Spears just beat the crap out of these other 3. There was no way the Varsity Blondes and Dante Martin were getting away with a win on this one. But this was the first appearance of the faction since they came out as the Pinnacle, since they destroyed the Inner Circle in that ambush attack. I thought it was going to be a squash match, but it turned out to be a little bit better. But yeah, there was no way that, that they were going to get a win off these 3, because, these guys are good. These guys are all veterans and all really good wrestlers. And the other 3 guys were all, pretty rookies. Pretty fresh rookies, most of them, except Brian Pillman Jr. I think he's the only one of the 3 I actually knew who it was. But come on. Yeah, FTR and Shawn Spears was not going to lose this match. Shawn Spears wins the match with the C4 to pin Dante Martin. Then Wardlow and the rest of the Pinnacle come in, and Wardlow attacks Brian Pillman Jr. And then the Pinnacle, after that, they throw him out of the ring basically, and then Pinnacle does an interview where they talk about, each one of them wants to destroy the other parts of the Inner Circle, and they want to tag team match FTR and Proud and Powerful, things like that. So it's going to be a good thing when they're back, when Inner Circle comes back, and this is going to be could be a huge thing for like a pay-per-view with like a 5-on-5, the Pinnacle versus the Inner Circle. I would pay for that just to see that match, because that's going to be a good match. So yeah, I would love to see that as a match in a pay-per-view. And then it was followed by Team Taz promo, where Taz was trying to convince everybody that Team Taz is okay. But the facial expressions on Brian Cage were telling a different story. And then when he was asked if everything was okay with Team Taz, Brian Cage just answered with his catchphrase. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't want to see Brian Cage, leave Team Taz, because I think the group is really good. But maybe this is just a little dissent in the group. Maybe something will happen to make them coalesce again. But yeah, no, good. Everything with Taz, A+. Taz is a great talker, a great promo guy, and a great commentator on AEW Dark. So all around, yeah. Anything with Taz, sign me up. This was followed up by another interview, this time with QT Marshall. Again, whining, I think, about Boohoo, being in Cody's shadow and then they made a match for next week on Dynamite. And Cody's arm is still hurt, his shoulder is still hurt, so he was wearing a sling. So I don't know if he's going to, how good a match it's going to be if Cody's still hurt. But the interesting part of this is Arn Anderson is going to be the guest referee. So that should be interesting because, if you know the history of Arn Anderson, you never know what side the man's going to be on, because just as fast as he could be your friend, I mean, you could turn your back on him and he'll drive a knife right in it. So it's Arn Anderson's always walked that fine line of, can you trust him or not trust the guy? But the next match was a triple tag team match for the night, which was the Lucha Brothers and the Laredo Kid versus the Young Bucks and Brandon Cutler. I mean, yeah, this is going to be a freaking awesome match. And you just by knowing the competitors of it, you knew it was going to be good. And like putting these guys in, I mean, the Lucha Brothers, I'm more familiar with the Laredo Kid because he does a lot of wrestling in AAA. But he was on one of the pay-per-views a while ago before AEW, before the whole beer bug thing happened. And the Young Bucks are awesome. They're tag team champs. They're probably the best tag team in the world. And I know those people would argue that, but I think they're probably the best in the world. And I know they've definitely held more tag team titles than probably any other tag team in the world from all over the world. But yeah, like these guys weren't going to put on an amazing match, and it was an amazing match. Wow. It's hard when these guys get together. It's hard to even keep track of what's going on in the ring because they are flying all over the ring. I mean, it's trying to keep track of, well, this instance, it was normally 4 people in this Lucha Brothers and Young Bucks, but now Laredo Kid, another high flyer again, and so Brandon Cutler was doing stuff too. And it was just like, it was, even my ADD was having trouble keeping up with these guys. And the announcers were all just trying to keep up, which is hilarious for them to try and keep up with everything going on. Guys were flying everywhere. I mean, inside the ring, outside the ring, off the top rope, springboards everywhere. But then in the mix-up, while they're all fighting on the outside, the Laredo Kid hits Brandon Cutler with a Spanish fly for the win, which I did not see that coming. So that was a really great match. But before anybody could celebrate or anything, Kenny Omega comes out and attacks the Laredo Kid, hitting him in the head with I think it was a microphone. And then goes on a crazy rant after the Bucks stop him from attacking the Laredo Kid again with the championship belt. He goes on a crazy conspiracy rant about how the Young Bucks need to sweet him, which is their hand signal for what they used to be in the Bullet Club. And that how he didn't choose AEW or to come to AEW. He chose to go with and follow the Bucks. And he chose the Bucks, but the Bucks have never chose him. And he went on this crazy rant about conspiracy this, conspiracy that, and how nobody has his back, and how, the Young Bucks need to step up and, back him up. And, after a little while of his rant, basically, trying to guilt trip the Young Bucks into doing what he wants. The Young Bucks just told him no way, and they walked away. And as he yelled at him as they walked away and they walked in the tunnel, he's still yelling at him. And he turns around to continue his rant, and he gets a double super kick to the face from the Lucha Brothers, which, I'm sorry, made me laugh out loud because he just turned around and there they were, and they both super kicked him before he could even move. And then they followed it up by getting put by getting put in a package pile driver by Penta and assisted off the top rope to slam him down in the package pile driver and leave him in the middle of the ring. And then the Laredo Kid picked up the microphone and popped him in the head just like he did him. And they walked out of the ring, leaving Omega laying in the ring with a bloody mouth. And they no sooner cleared the tunnel than outruns the Good Brothers. Well, not runs, gingerly walking to come out to help. Like they weren't in any hurry to come out and help him from getting his butt kicked. Which leads to a match for next week on Dynamite. Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers versus the Lucha Brothers and the Laredo Kid. Which that should be awesome. I mean, what a good match that's going to be. Considering that Kenny Omega has fought both Penta and his brother. So that should be a good match. And he also, I think he took the AAA World Heavyweight title off of one of them too. I can't remember which one it was. And I think I don't know if he still has it or not, but yeah, so that should be a really good match next week. Then another promo time here was a promo for Jade Cargill. She's basically talking trash about Red Velvet, typical trash talk wrestling. And then she followed it up by, I don't know if she called Red Velvet or she was talking about herself being one, but she said the bitch word, which, whenever a wrestler in a promo does that means it's super serious. Shh, don't tell anybody, but it's super serious. It's super serious. We're talking. Yeah. So, but she used the bitch word. So that means it's serious. Then there was an advertisement, which I thought was interesting, for the Rhodes, Cody and Brandi Rhodes, getting their own reality show on TNT. Great for them. Great for, just something else to rub in WWE's face and Vince McMahon's face. But I won't be watching. I don't watch reality shows, so good for them though. Yay, good, yay. And then the next match was Ty Conti, who had a match, who had like the number one contender now for the Women's World Championship against Nyla Rose, which is not one of my favorite wrestlers. I'm not going to get into the whole thing about that right now, but yeah, I do not like Nyla. But the shocking thing about this was that Ty Conti, really good wrestler. I mean, she's really good. Like I said in the previous review, she's a black belt in judo, which you saw that in this match especially. She was doing some judo holds, judo throws. And I was shocked that she defeated Nyla Rose. I mean, blew me away. I was like, whoa, no way. I thought for sure Nyla was, this was going to be a squash match. But I guess they're not going to squash Ty Conti because she's aligned herself with the Dark Order now. So, but she beat Nyla Rose with the DD tie, as she's calling it, which I like. But after the match, Vicky Guerrero and Nyla Rose attacked her. 2-on-1, of course. Yeah. Then Hikaru Shida comes out to make the save and bashes Nyla Rose with her kendo stick, which I don't care. That hurts. Even I don't care if you get hit full force anywhere. That's going to hurt. That'll leave a mark. But then the weird thing was, out of nowhere, the bunny ran out and attacked Hikaru Shida and Ty Conti with the kendo stick. So I don't know where that came from because, the bunny's never done anything to help Nyla Rose before. But then it all became clear. Matt Hardy walks out with Butcher and the Blade, who are now his clients, and said how the bunny had been overlooked for far too long in AEW and how it wasn't right that the bunny was left out of the women's tournament for the number one contender for challenge for the women's championship, which I agree. The bunny's a great wrestler. She should have been in that tournament, but she wasn't. And how that this was all going to change now that they were clients of Matt Hardy's and that she was going to be getting a title shot soon. So more power to you. But like I said, I like the bunny. She's a great wrestler. She's always been a good wrestler. And I'm glad to see her back wrestling and not being just a manager for the Butcher and the Blade. Matter of fact, she's so good. She should be there. They should be her manager. Then there was a promo after that for which this looks like it's going to be a crazy match next week on Dynamite. It's called the Arcade Anarchy. So it's going to be a match between Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy versus Kip Sabian and Miro. So for what I understand about this, it's going to be an arcade room, like with arcade games everywhere. So I don't know if this is going to be some kind of like cinematic, some kind of match where they're gonna be fighting, but they're playing video games against each other or something. It just sounds like it's going to be crazy. So I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of crazy this is, because so far they haven't really let you in on what kind of crazy it's going to be. But just calling it Arcade Anarchy is going to be, that's got me hooked to see what this is actually going to be. And then because of what happened earlier in the night, a match was made for next Wednesday's Dynamite. Hikaru Shida and Tai Conti versus The Bunny and Nyla Rose. That is going to be a great match because, I don't like Nyla Rose, but you've got the other three are really good wrestlers. So this is going to be a great women's match. Another match that happened was, of course, like I said earlier, was Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers versus Lucha Brothers and Laredo Kid. So that, again, another great match that Dynamite's going to be like, geez, I mean, that alone is, again, that is a pay-per-view quality match right there. And they're giving it to you for free on Dynamite. This was followed up by another promo by another guy I really like, Scorpio Sky, saying how he's not doing a heel turn, like, because everybody's thinking he was doing a heel turn, but he says he's not. This is just him being frustrated and mad at being underrated by everybody and not given, the chance. He's sick and tired of being overlooked for matches and championships and those kind of things. So yeah, I could see that because he really has been. He's a phenomenal wrestler. I mean, that's him and the other members of SCU. He's a third member of SCU. They are all great wrestlers. So, hey, go for it, Scorpio Sky. I don't care. Kick someone's ass if you have to. But yeah, no, put the TNT Championship belt on him because, yeah, I think he should have it. But and because I really don't think Darby Allin's a good champion. And then speaking of Darby Allin and the TNT Championship, the main event for the night is for the TNT Championship, which is John Silver of the Dark Order versus Darby Allin. Again, in my opinion, Darby Allin is the worst TNT champion. When Cody had it and when Brody Lee had it, they were defending the championship every week on TV because it's a television title. It's the TNT television title. So it should be defended on television. And since Darby Allin got the title, has he even defended it once on television? Except for, I think this is only the second time since he got the belt that he's defended it on television, where Cody Rhodes was coming out there and kicking ass every Wednesday night defending that title. And I think Brody Lee did it too. So yeah, I don't know why they're pushing Darby Allin so much in AEW. I don't think he's good. I don't think he's a good wrestler, and I don't think he's that good. And he certainly isn't a good champion because he hasn't defended the freaking belt. I was pretty sure they weren't going to have John Silver take it from him because they're protecting Darby. But I think Scorpio Sky would be a way better champion than Darby Allin. And Scorpio Sky is also way better wrestler, and I think that he would make a better champion and defend it more. Because that's the big thing. It's a TV title. It should be defended every week on television. And it hasn't been. But John Silver, on the other hand, I think is a really good wrestler and a powerhouse. He's another guy that he's like short, but he is like built. I mean, he's like built like a wall. It's like, wow, look at that dude. He's like, I mean, his partner is way bigger than him, way taller than him, but John Silver is way bigger than him. So that's what's funny, but he's a great wrestler too. Does some great, insane moves as well. Bad thing about this match was that during the match, John Silver got tossed over the barricade and onto the concrete floor. He landed wrong and hurt his arm, elbow, shoulder, that area. He was holding the whole area and his head too. Because when he came over that barricade, he landed wrong. He landed sideways, kind of, on an angle, and smashed his head and his arm into the concrete floor. And yeah, it wasn't good from there because he kept trying to do moves, but he couldn't because of hurting his arm. And you could see a big welt on his head too, where he cracked it into the concrete. So I'm surprised they didn't bust him open because he hit it pretty hard. So hard that his tag team partner who was out there hopped over the wall to see if he was okay because he knew something bad happened too. But Darby Allin gets the win, of course, because I said they're protecting him. Wins, gets the title win, and I expected that, so there was no shock there. But after the match, this is where the shock came in. Was after the match, Matt Hardy comes out of nowhere and attacks Darby Allin, and which I don't understand, since Matt Hardy hasn't had a problem with Darby Allin, but he's had a problem with the Dark Order. So I don't know why he didn't attack John Silver, who's a member of the Dark Order, who was already hurt. He could have just attacked him and got his little sucker punches in, but he attacked Darby Allin, which completely baffled me. Then it turned into a big brawl because, the rest of Matt Hardy's people came out. Private Party, the Butcher and the Blade, and the Bunny all came out, and outside by the ring, the Dark Order was already out there to watch the match with Silver. So the Dark Order and Darby Allin and Sting then all attacked Matt Hardy and his people. Even Ty Conte and the Bunny were outside fighting. So that was even more cool to watch but yeah, that was a hell of a way to end, but a confusing way, because I don't know what Matt Hardy was doing attacking Darby Allin, unless he was just doing that to, I don't know, get his attention about the title or something. I don't know, but hey, it was a great ending to the episode. So the next episode of AEW Dark Elevation, like I said, is Monday nights. Dark is Tuesday nights. And the next episode of AEW Dynamite is Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on TNT. And we'll see you next week for a week in review of AEW.